King's Row famously set in the Galar region. Anyway. It's a gamer reference real quick. Anyway, on the defense.
I can't
Talon,
relate, not a gamer.
Yeah, me neither, frankly. I just try and stay up to date for the sake of my Twitter profile. But Talon going to be sitting at pretty the same thing they were running to start with on Paris, so we'll have to see if they get a similar amount of success. Ooh, that's a nice pick.
Finding the Sombra, that's exactly what you want to see. Gagora just snipes him out there with that chain hook, and now Global Esports in a weird spot. Might have to look to pull back.
I mean, there's spy checking, and then there's that. Like, that is with utmost confidence. It's like, it's just spy finding.
Spy spying.
Yes. I spy with my little hook. Anyway, it doesn't really work. Luke does get raised at least, so they don't get slowed down too much more. Now still need to find a way to make the approach.
Oh, that could have been a sneaky headshot as well. Patapan was aiming that one up there. Is a Dragon Strike ready for Little Rax, and Gagora losing his life.
Yeah, Kim Yute certainly paid that one back. Goes, you know what, you pick me, I'll hack you out, pick you off. Dragon Strike comes across now. Xeon Flux, though, getting picked, frozen up, and headshotted is a really rough way to go for Zenyatta. And now just starting to slowly but surely chip away here. Global Esports have the closer respawns. Now they find Muse, and that should be enough to finish breaking this one through.
It's closer respawns, and then also a Mercy on top of that for the Rares. So Global Esports now just holding on to player advantage. Still have ultimates available as well. So now after capping A, swapping onto a Bastion.
Hello.
This is going to be a pirate ship now going through the streets. Baptiste as well coming through from Faith. EMP to start things out. I do expect Kimbute to possibly change as well very quickly after the EMP gets played.
Because it's England's pirate radio instead. It's like, that's the kind of pirate ships they had. It's less of the sort of yo-ho-ho, and it's more of the...
cap the map with
It's more of the
radio.
here is the Beatles. I don't know. They're going to see how this works. They've got the EMP that they should be able to leverage. It should make it a little bit harder for Talon to hold up against the Bastion.
I will say the EMP has limited use here because you can't push into them necessarily. You can see here that maybe Talon can get alive.
The May wall into the cart, classic. It is only the one pick so far, but they have forced Talon back, and it's kind of the first part of the gambit. That's a really great blizzard there from Apudo. Freeze the gears, grinds it to a halt. And with that, Talon are going to end up pushing Global Esports off the card with what was otherwise a great start to the fight.
This is part of the problem. You're playing a Bastion, which is, okay, you want to be sticking onto the card, but then you're playing in a Sombra where, and I even said, look, okay, they want to use EMP first, that's fine, but they can't aggress onto their own EMP. So they drop the EMP, then Lil Rax walks forward and tries to get some stuff done there, maybe tries to avoid a few members of Talon along the way as well, because he was taking a bit of damage, but ends up just being way too far away from his own team, way too far off from the cart, and goes down pretty quickly. It's going to go on to the Mei Hanzo combination here, same as what Talon are running. Ultimates on both sides, different ones though. It's going to be the double tank ones in Patapan for Talon. Global Esports double support.
So you can't just walk the Bastion back to the cart, so they are just behind the 8 ball now in terms of ultimates. Supercharger just kind of sat pretty there. They get back under it, and that's also the Immortality Field as well. The Amplification Matrix. Global Esports going all in with the few ultimates they actually have at their
Gagora lives.
It's a really fight they do get to reclaim possession of the cart. For now, Blizzard once again able to come out from Apudo, though has already recharged that one. And off the back of that, they're going to again be able to take the fight win, force Global Esports back, recharge up some of those other ultimates, and Global Esports still need to find some kind of ultimate advantage.
As a classic Englishman would say, absolutely filthy. I'm talking about Brennan Hook here because look at this. Gagora was on to no HP, walks away, still alive after being caught out in the open. The Amplification Matrix was down for Global Esports. I think Kim Yute kind of whipped his own wall there, blocked off sight lines, but then Apudo definitely walled off that Matrix. And Gagora really should have went down there. Global Esports should have had the player advantage. Now going to the next attempt, they already lose faith.
Yeah, they were hoping to throw out the Dragon Strike to get some space there, force Talon back off the cart, maybe even find a pick, but instead they lose faith in the rotation, and now CQB with that long firing line goes, you know what, I can set up an Amplification Matrix here, get us a couple more picks while they try and retreat. So Talon honestly getting a lot of value on the defense right now.
Yeah, not a bad reset from Global Esports though. They did maintain half their lineup here. Only 3 members went down, and that could have been much worse. Could have been a staggered kill there somewhere on another member retreating back to spawn. So relatively safe for them. They have to see how they want to approach this next attempt, because a couple of ultimates are coming online. Notably, the Amp Matrix can be pretty big for them.
It's going to be self-destruct, tossed up by Xenofly. Patapan's already found him, though.
No, remake, yeah.
Yeah, it's a really unfortunate one to go down in that, and that's Blizzard out from Kim Yute is decent, but they can't quite get the finish off. The May Walls catches a couple of people up against the arch roof there, but they are going to be able to escape from that. Don't quite take enough damage. They are separated, though. Talon is currently stuck in two halves. The amplification matrix stops the two hubs from recombining for the purposes of this fight, nor are they in a great position to retreat from. So Global Esports finally finding the fight they need. Nice immortality field there to save Little Rax after getting hooked. And with that, barring an act of God here, I do feel that Global Esports should get back in control of this, but man, Muse is going to make it take a while.
Honestly, I think Talon could have gotten away there. They already were kind of saved by Kim Yute's Ice Fall briefly, and then, okay, you see the amplification matrix come down. For Faith, if you're Talon there, you don't need to contest with your supercharger. And Muse is like, all right, let's fight fire with fire. But really, if you just leave that position, wrap around the backside of B, and meet up with your own team again, that Ant Matrix was only angled for that one alleyway. The Ant Matrix wasn't going to do anything else. Talon could have reset much cleaner there and possibly have still won the fight, but I think they got a little bit too aggressive and paid for it.
This is still one more opportunity here. They might still end up holding this on B in some fashion, but the supercharger is going to make it a little bit more difficult to fight into. That's really all Global Esports have left in the tank, though, until that amplification matrix comes up. Talon right now just digging deep into the pockets. The amplification matrix with the whole hog running through it is pretty brutal.
It's a lot of zoning.
Leap there. The freeze not quite able to come through thanks to that transcendence, or at least not able to get the kill. They're not able to get the damage through. Talon have started to use a lot more of their ultimates now, starting to run a little bit drier, and we start to see some kills coming through the way of Global Esports as well. Certainly not out of this fight yet. They need to get a lot more value. This is a little bit dicey as Little Rax gets picked off, and now the counter trade's starting to come through for Global Esports.
And so Talon still have a few members alive here. Mortality field just keeping whoever is here going for the time being, but the Kappa is going to go through eventually, and this is going to be a big cleanup now. A few late deaths for Talon is going to really stop them from reapproaching this cart in any timely manner, and Global Esports needs as much snowball as they can get.
Certainly feel that there could have been a hold somewhere on B for Talon, especially how they came into that final fight. They did have some sort of advantage, but credits to Global Esports just playing it safely, playing it patiently, and actually going one-to-one against Talon a lot of the time. Now only pick on CQB.
A lot of that actually came down to Faith as he had the Ant Matrix down really quickly after the last usage. Got a lot of value out of that one now as they push through. Double Dragon Strike on both ends.
The Dragons have struck, they have spoken, and well, Talon have judged Global Esports unworthy here. They are not going to be able to quite keep up that momentum, and that was with an otherwise great early pick out. With that, Global Esports going to have to figure out how to get back onto this with about 30 seconds left.
It's a huge slowdown as well because, you needed to see a big snowball push come through from Global Esports if they are going to be able to cap this map at all. Kim Yute over to the Widowmaker means you do need a bit of time for him to find these headshots, and if you don't get these picks and you need to secure the kills, one headshot into Gagora that doesn't end up being a kill, sadly not good enough.
One pick coming out onto Global Esports could just end it right there and then.
Another Ant Matrix.
The amplification matrix out, they get a Pudo just before he's able to duck back into cover. And huge headshot onto Gagora through the Ant Matrix. Actually kills him incredibly. That's going to be Global Esports with enough to at least get back on the cart. The question is, can they then get through the ends here, having to use the Transcendence? I don't know if that was ultimately necessary.
We have 4 ultimates on the side of Talon Esports, and this is where you want to see them
Nice
back in,
headshot.
except that's a member down already, so no more Blizzard, no more Whole Hog, no more Nano Boost,
huge.
and no more point defense available for Talon Esports. A nice cap out from Global Esports.
And you can see the world where Apudo at least gets out, at least gets the Blizzard down, throws himself on the cart, gets into the ice block. You start to see the other members come out, Muse on the Wrecking Ball. You can see how with the ultimates, if they were able to get in the fight, they could have still held it out. Instead, that pick alone probably finished making the space. This was really big, by the way, early. So he did actually know that Kim Yute was there, but
this is funny because Kim Yute un-invis in front of Gagora.
You'd like to think he could hear Gagora coming up the stairs like...
I do want to talk back about that last push as well, and I want to talk about Faith here in 2 different ways. We did kind of mention, well, I'll say it from my end, I kind of mentioned that I wasn't so sure about Faith's real ability to really step up on the Batiks role, but 3 out of 3 of his most recent Ant Matrixes were all high value, every single one of them. The first one, which happened just to your left here, towards this alleyway, I still think Talon could have walked away from, so you'll say that Talon maybe gifted that one, but the other 2, definitely huge. Global Esports popped that one down to get the B point cap, and you mentioned, look, B felt like a very defendable space for Talon. Didn't work out because the Ant Matrix get dropped down right at the right time. Got the amount of damage. Same again onto C. The Ant Matrix just dropped down at the perfect time for Global Esports to secure those kills. And the second part of this is faith, in the sense that having the faith of your members, Commute swapping over to Widow, it's not really a normal thing you see going to that final push. You need to be relying on the possibility of these big headshots coming through, and he got them. He lands them through the Ant Matrix, and they were big.
Speaking of Faith now, Faith's going to be rolling out on a Brigitte. Really not something we've seen since the 2-2-2 lock, at least not a whole lot of, and this is a very interesting team comp out from Global Esports.
As a reminder, this version of Brigitte is not the PTR version with the 3 health packs. This is still the regular Brigitte 500 shield. Not great as a main healer. It means Global Esports have to get quite aggressive to make sure that her dash goes through.
That's a massive pick off there. It feels like a lot of this team comp is about Little Rax being able to go in, get shielded up, and maybe find a pick. But honestly, the Immortality field throws a big enough spanner in that works in the first place, and well, with Little Rax dead, it's not even a possibility to begin with. Now Xenofly gets hooked and finished off, and Talon looking like they're just going to straight walk onto this point.
I think Global Esports here got trying to get a little bit tricky. They are going to claim a pick on their way through, but ultimately it's not going to stop the push from Talon from succeeding, and this is now going to be a risk that ends up costing Global Esports the 8-point defense entirely. In fact, it may cost them a little bit more because there will be a slow push through from Talon now as Global Esports reset their comp.
That's going to be really rough. That's just extra space, extra time. The payload does still have to come out. Lurax is going to change anyway, but I mean, you would have liked to have died.
They all have to change. They've wasted that comp now.
So Talon just taking that position, waiting for the cart to catch up. And they've got the ultimates to back up this push as well. The amplification matrix there already from CQB could just be enough if they end up in a pitched battle here.
And really what Global Esports want to do is just absorb the ultimates. If they can get the ultimates out of Talon Esports, maybe back up their lives, that would already be mission accomplished. But as it stands, they're going to get caught.
And it's 2 ultimates so far, though, out from Talon. It's the Amplification Matrix and the Dragon Strike. Might not mind the Amplification Matrix too much. You can charge it relatively quickly, but that is also more space, more time, more momentum still for Talon.
I want to talk about the second point you made, because time is the most important thing. In terms of the fact that Global Esports had to wait until the overtime to actually camp B, Talon are going to do this possibly within the next 30 seconds, and Global Esports are not going to mount their real defense where they are stabilized until we get to the C point, in which case Talon are just going to finish the map.
And that's the thing, let's also note that because Global Esports cap C in overtime, if Talon cap with more than a minute remaining, Global Esports don't get a chance to attack, they just have to defend. It's a very aggressive Blizzard as well, and sort of ends up paying off though. At least it stops Global Esports from approaching this point to stop the cap from going through without just forfeiting their lives. They chose the latter of the 2 options, forfeit the lives. Well, Talon will still take that fight and that cap.
Well, I'll tell you what else they forfeited. 2 ultimates there as well. You saw the Supercharger, you also saw the Nano Boost, the Onflux now changing over to the Zenyatta instead. And this is where you want to see them dig in their heels, and where you would have liked to see them really go into the ultimates, which they took various fights to build up on. But Talon still got momentum. This is a hook as well.
They've got the whole hog, they've got a nano boost for damage, they'll soon have another amplification matrix, so they've got all the tools required to just keep pushing their way forward here, especially if you keep getting these hooks that just hamper your opponent. But that's a nice hook into the Blizzard, they'll halt into the Blizzard rather. 2 kills going through the way of Global Esports, getting a good amount out of just that Blizzard, but Talon do hit back just as hard, in fact deciding that they are not done with this fight. That's Xeon getting finished off, and Patapan just unlocked in this fight, now self-destruct. Does zone these members for a moment, but Xenofly is certainly not going to remech. And Talon, the members that died, have rejoined the fight already.
And Global Esports right now just trying to brace upon this avalanche rolling down the mountainside for Talon Esports. Gagora went down, sure, he's back now. Ant Matrix on both sides. Who's got the damage? Patapan does.
He's found Kim Yute, and they'll happily take this pitched battle once again. Dragon Strike does rake across from Literax, but it will not find the damage, will not find the kills, and there is
he's got the damage
left to contest that cart. That's going to be Talon pushing it through with an incredible amount of time in the bank. And, well, like I said, because they cap with far more than a minute remaining, they actually only have to cap a third of A with more time than what you would get in regulation time.
Yeah, 404 point found.
404 defense not found.
Pretty much. At this sort of point here, you do have to look at Global Esports, that gambit they made on A. definitely didn't pay off. More than did not pay off. It was so risky for them to go for a Doomfist Brigida-based composition. It completely fell flat on their faces. And not only cost them that point, but I would argue cost them this entire defense because they never stabilize forever, even on the C, where this is where you expect them to really do well. And this is the point where that was a better fight for them. Right before Panapan smashed them through the teeth, this is where it started to look better for Global Esports. But by this stage, Talon had Global Esports on the ropes. We were only like on the second round of this boxing match, and the knockout punch happened.
And that's the thing. I mean, Talon are just a cut above the rest right now. We are seeing it time and time again, demonstrated in every way, shape, and form. Even when Global Esports look like they are leveling up, even when they come in, they get the full cap out. They don't just get full held like they did on Paris. Talon still prove that they are far above and beyond what Global Esports are capable of.
So this time around, no sneaky business. They're going to play standard here. It's going to be the Mei Hanzo combination. Talon will match entirely, and this is where I like to see Global Esports get a decent start like they did on Nepal. Lean into that to maybe find a hold here. The draw is possible. Look, it's a very small chance, but you'll take any chance you can get if you're Global Esports.
You'll take any pick you can get if you're Talon, because one just about guarantees it.
Take
two is even better, and well, what's the thing? 3's a crowd, or is 3 a cap? I think it's the latter at this point, and only the 1/3 required for said cap. Let's just get the whole lot. Let's take everybody out on the town for the night, and with that, Talon finding themselves 3-0 up in the series at match point, just one game away from punching a ticket to Gauntlet.
And this is where Global Esports, you're bleeding over the ring right now. The ref is counting you down. You try and get up one last time. I'm good to fight. And then Talon just smack you for that last punch. And then straight out there, Panapan got, 3 of the last 6 kills there on that last push as well. Disgusting performance on the Hanzo overall. Delivered them that C push on that final attempt. And Kings Row, we got to the time bank. We'll say that was good for Global Esports. We'll say that's an improvement over, say, Paris. It's an improvement on the fact that Nepal, they didn't get a point there. This has been the only map where they've actually gotten points. It's been 0-0. They finally get 3 here, and now they're against a team sitting at match point who are favored to win anyway.
Yeah,
it's just Escort that is the final hurdle for Talon Esports and for Global Esports. How tall can they make this hurdle? Can they make this into like a high jump thing instead of just a just a running race?
Tell you what,
they're gonna need it.
I think the map score on Kings Row is the only 4-3 we're going to be seeing over the course of the night. I don't expect the reverse sweep to come out, and a lot of that is actually off the fact that, look, you take Kings Row, you remove the static point, and it's not, don't mean Kings Row exactly, but you take Hybrid, remove the static point, and you've got yourself an escort map. It's not like the mobile parts of the map went any better for Global Esports than the static part of the map, both on the offense or the defense. In both instances, Talon was just a better team, better on the offense, better on the defense, and you expect that to continue to ring true here on Escort. We also start to look at the situation where so far Global Esports have loosely benefited from having the map pick. That is still the case here, but you look at the Escort pool, and I don't see any particular map that's that extra bit more favored for them, like what Paris and Kings Row at least were.
I will say that Rialto, for me, is going to be their map pick, and for the reasons, again, that we really need to see May Reaper again. I think if you are Global Esports, if you fail to play May Reaper again, or if you fail to go to the right map to get into May Reaper, this is going to be your series done. And maybe your series is done anyway if you go into the May Reaper, but that's your best shot.
Yeah.
You need to take your best shot right now, and I don't think Global Esports have been able to do that, at least compositionally. The best shot has been Nepal, despite that being a 2-0. That was a close 2-0. You look at the percentage points on those 2 rounds, that was winnable for Global Esports.
Certainly.
I don't think the other 2 maps were realistically winnable for Global Esports, so we got to go back to what's been working.
You'd certainly like to say so. Control is a little bit of a different beast, unfortunately, for Global Esports compared to Escort, and it's not even compositionally speaking. It's, again, you just look at how the sort of the pace and passage of gameplay operates. You still end up favoring Talon, if only because of how those same parts of Hybrid worked out for them. But look, stranger things have happened, right? I'd like to even see a world where Global Esports at least push Talon hard enough to maybe even take a map off them still.
Yeah, I definitely don't think we're going to Dorado. That one you can rule out for sure.
Yeah.
Havana, I think you have a good chance of, but I think Rialto has to be the go-to here.
We see Dorado
and
now.
despite being... I definitely think, look, this should be now 4-0 for Talon. I think we probably thought it was going to be 4-0 anyway,
Certainly
walking